So, how can one single NFL team have two completely different hometowns, two golden eras, two identities, but still be the same franchise? Well, it's an amazing story of huge wins, a shocking betrayal, and then a pretty remarkable rebirth. Let's get into the incredible history of the team we know as the Colts. And this whole story really plays out in two very different places. Over on the left, you've got Baltimore's Memorial Stadium. That's the hallowed ground where a dynasty was born. And on the right, the RCA Dome in Indianapolis, the modern stage for the franchise's second act. This is a journey that takes us all the way from the gritty East Coast to the heart of the Midwest. All right, let's wind the clock all the way back to the beginning, because before there was Indianapolis, the Colts belonged to Baltimore. And in the 1950s, they started building a legacy that would pretty much define a whole generation of pro football. And the guy at the absolute heart of that legacy? It was this man right here, Johnny Unitas. With those iconic high-top cleats and his just cool command in the pocket, Johnny U wasn't just a quarterback. No way. He was the field general who turned the Colts into NFL royalty. And this is the moment the Colts, and maybe the entire NFL, really exploded onto the national stage. In 1958, they're facing the New York Giants for the championship. The game goes into sudden death overtime, which was a first in NFL history. And with 45 million people glued to their TVs, Unitas leads this now legendary drive to win it all. It basically proved that pro football was pure, unscripted drama. And believe me, that was just the beginning. They won the whole thing again in '59, they grabbed another NFL championship in '68, and then, after the leagues merged, they won Super Bowl V in 1970. I mean, this wasn't just a good team. They were an absolute powerhouse for more than a decade. But, their journey wasn't always easy, which brings us to Super Bowl III. The Colts were seen as one of the greatest teams ever, and they were favored to win by, get this, an incredible 18 points against the upstart New York Jets. And this right here just perfectly shows you the wild swings of this team. They suffer this shocking 16-7 loss in Super Bowl III, still one of the biggest upsets in sports history. But they didn't fall apart. Just 2 years later, they found redemption, winning Super Bowl V on a last-second field goal against the Cowboys. So they were champions. The city of Baltimore had a team they could be really proud of. But as the '70s wore on, the team's luck started to turn. Then, in the middle of one snowy night, everything changed forever, leading to one of the most controversial moments in the history of the NFL. It's the question that really haunted Baltimore for decades. I mean, you have a team with this much history, this much success. How do they just disappear? Well, the answer is in a really bitter fight between the team's owner and the city itself. It was really just a perfect storm of issues. The owner, Robert Irsay, was in this nasty fight with the city over who was going to pay for stadium upgrades. At the same time, the team was struggling on the field and fewer fans were showing up. The tension finally boiled over when the Maryland legislature made a wild move. They threatened to seize the team using eminent domain, basically having the government just take the team. And that was the final straw that sent Irsay secretly looking for a new home. And this quote, man, it just captures the pure drama of the escape. On March 29th, 1984, a bunch of moving vans show up at the team facility. They packed up everything, helmets, records, equipment, and just vanished into the night. And just like that, the Baltimore Colts were gone. So while Baltimore was left in total shock, their destination was more than ready. This number is just nuts. Within 2 weeks of the team showing up in Indianapolis, the city got 143,000 requests for season tickets. One heartbroken city's loss was an absolutely ecstatic city's gain. But, a new city doesn't just guarantee instant success. The franchise really had to start from scratch, looking for a new identity and a new leader who could bring them back to the top. Yeah, those early years in Indy were pretty tough. They had some flashes of talent, for sure, like Hall of Fame running back Eric Dickerson. He actually led them to their first playoff appearance in Indianapolis back in '87. But winning consistently, that was really hard to come by. After a really, really bad 3-13 season in 1997, the Colts found themselves holding the most valuable thing in sports, the #1 overall draft pick. And the choice they were about to make would completely redefine the franchise for a new generation. Enter Peyton Manning. With this one pick, the Colts didn't just get a new quarterback, They got a new architect. Manning would become the Johnny Unitas of Indianapolis, this brilliant field general whose intense preparation and control at the line of scrimmage just fundamentally changed how the position was played.
And if you want to see the impact, just look at this. The year before Manning gets there, the Colts win only 3 games. By his second season, in 1999, they're 13-3, and they're division champs. I mean, that is just a staggering, unbelievable turnaround.
So this new era of being great finally hit its peak in the 2006 season. After years of making the playoffs, Manning led the Colts all the way to Super Bowl XIL, where they beat the Chicago Bears and brought the city of Indianapolis its very first Super Bowl title. And their dominance didn't stop there. It led them right back to the Super Bowl just a few years later. And while they didn't win that one, being on football's biggest stage for the second time in 4 seasons, that cemented their new identity. They weren't the relocated team from Baltimore anymore. Nope. They were, without a doubt, Indianapolis's champions. So when you step back and look at it, you see these two completely distinct, legendary eras, but they're connected by this single, complicated thread. It's a story that's really unlike any other in American sports. And the story didn't end with Manning. In what seems like an impossible stroke of luck, the franchise went from one legendary quarterback right to the next, drafting Andrew Luck first overall in 2012. It just proved that the whole cycle of building around a franchise-defining leader was now part of the Colts' DNA, no matter what city they called home. When it all comes down to it, the story of the Colts is really the story of these two men, Johnny Unitas, the icon who built the whole foundation in Baltimore, and Peyton Manning, the legend who built a brand new dynasty in Indianapolis. 2 different cities, 2 different eras, but both are part of the same incredible franchise history. It's a legacy of championships and controversy, of heartbreak and rebirth, a team with roots planted deep in 2 totally different hometowns. It just makes you wonder, for a franchise defined by 2 legendary quarterbacks in 2 different cities, what kind of story will its next chapter tell?